one of our ambassador families for the March of Dimes, March for Baby Kauai event, Christine Morales and her fiance, Joe Limbaugh. Very funny. Thank you so much for joining us today, you guys, and for helping us spread the word about March of Dimes, March for Babies. I know Silas is hanging out behind us, so if you can see him, keep your eyes watched and peeled for him. He'll come in and out of the frame. So, Christine, tell us the day you found out about your pregnancy. What was it like, and how did you feel?
I was actually really, really sick. I was throwing up a lot. I didn't know if it was food poisoning or if it was something else, but I talked to my sister, and she's like, you should probably take a pregnancy test, and I was like, I'm not. But I told him to get one anyway, and then he couldn't even wait to even look at it. Like, I told him we have to wait 2 minutes. He went to the bathroom without me and looked at it before I could even get a chance to.
Did you?
Yeah, and he came out, and it was positive.
So you knew before Christine.
He knew, like, yep, he did. He did. So I did. Yeah, he knew before me. He couldn't wait. And then so it was positive, and it was really scary. It was a shock because we weren't expecting it. I was in the middle of school too, so it was really scary. Like, the whole situation. I was really far away from home, and then his parents lived about an hour and a half away from us. I know.
They'll be Joe's
just disappeared to the other side.
Tell us more about that fear. Are you saying you weren't at home? You didn't have your family near you? I
was in California. I went to school in California in Orange County, and so that's like 3,000 miles away from Hawaii, and it was the first time I was ever away from home too. So and I was already living there for about 3 years, I think, at that point. And
sounded like Joe was excited because he found out before.
He was shocked. We didn't know.
At that point, all I could tell myself is I'm having a boy first. I don't want to be a girl first, bro.
That's great that you were excited about it.
Oh man, this kid
he's found friends.
He's all over the place.
So when you found out you were pregnant, when was your due date?
His due date was actually May 31st, and he was born on March 10th. So that's about 12 weeks. Yeah, 12 weeks early. And
tell us more about the unplanned birth.
What happened? Like how we found out? Okay, so
how did you find out that you were gonna have Silas early?
We were out like doing decoration shopping for my baby shower, and we were at Ace Hardware, Ben Franklin, and with my mom, and all of a sudden I started feeling like really tight, like cramps, and it felt like Braxton Hicks, but just much stronger. And it got to the point where I had to sit down in the middle of the whole entire store. And I'm like, okay, we need to go home soon. It was around 3 at that point.
Yeah.
Then we went home, and then it just got even worse and even closer. And he kept trying to tell me, like, we need to go to the hospital. And I kept telling him no. Like, if I'm home, I won't give birth. Like, that's
right.
How it's going to be. That's how I had it in my mind. Like, as long as I stay home, it won't happen. I called. I didn't have a doctor yet because we were only here for about a week before that happened. And so I called the ER, and they let me talk to the on-call doctor there, and he told me, like, since he hasn't seen me, he can't exactly tell me what is going on. So he said if the pain gets worse and then closer together in an hour, then come in and see me, and then we can check you out, and then we can see what's going on. And not even like 25 minutes later, we were already on our way.
You already suspected that something was gonna happen.
Yeah, like it got a lot more closer. I started writing down the times, and I noticed that it was like from 10 minutes, and then it was getting stronger, and then it went down to like 7 minutes, and then Silas was like
running around.
And eventually, I hit the point where I was like, whether you like it or not, we're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
So Joe made the decision.
All my stuff, we were staying at my sister's house during that time, and all my stuff was over there, and so he went to go grab all our stuff just in case we were in the hospital, and then we ended up like, we need to go like now.
While she was on the phone with the doctor, I was like, I want to go pick stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
You call the doctor and then let me know what he says when I get back.
Sounds like you were ready.
He was like, it's gonna happen. Like he knew. And then yeah. So we got to the hospital, and that point it was like 5 minutes, 4 minutes. I don't know. It was just really, really close. And I'm like sitting there, like I can't sit anymore. Like I need to do something. And so they finally brought me up. I think we got there around like 6:45ish, like right before 7. And then he was born at 7:55.
Wow. Was he born in Kauai or was he born in?
He was born here on Kauai.
Okay, and they medevaced him over to Kapiolani.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Did you go first, or
they took him
and because they weren't gonna let her leave for recovery.
Got it. And how many days until she was able to join
I was there for probably 2 or 3 days tops before they finally released her.
Yeah.
And she was out there for a day, and then I had to come back to start work because I was getting calls from Walmart to work overnight. So I was like, well, I gotta get something done.
Right.
You know, I know if she had the option, she would have just kept me there for the 2 months. But
I wanted to. I mean, I wanted him there, but I mean, it was just so crazy that as soon as we got there, he applied for a job, and then while he was on Oahu, he gets a call back for interview, and he's like, you know, he just got in like providing mode. You know, he's like, I want to be able to like, you know, make money for this and for us, and so we made the decision that he was going to stay here and work, and then I would stay with Silas up there, but it was really hard, you know, being alone. And you know, back to Natassja, the other ambassador mom, like that's when, you know, I got to meet her, and so because Joe was here, like it was nice, you know, and she was up there by herself too, you know, because Daddy had to stay home with the other two, you know, their other 2 kids, and so it was nice that we were able to like help each other out.
So that was
a familiar situation.
Yeah, and just being
another girl from Kauai.
Yes, no, it was comforting, definitely.
So I noticed that you have a bunch of stuff here that we'd like to share with our audience today. So which one do you want to share first?
There's a bunch of stuff, so you can choose what you
Let's
think
start
would be
with
best.
this one because it's the most interesting. And Joe, you said you were premature and you actually didn't get to use one of these little things.
No,
they didn't have
diapers for preemies when I was premature. It was just
these are diapers for premature babies. And you were wearing a size small, and you said it went all the way up to your chest.
I saw the picture of him.
It was like a diaper overall.
It was just like this balloon, or like he was in, and it was huge. And so now they make little tiny preemie diapers. That was the very first diaper he ever used.
Literally small.
And they gave me like blood pressure cuffs.
Blood pressure cuffs for tiny babies.
Yes. And then these things are really, really familiar right now.
As you noticed, Christine kept everything.
I did. It's terrible.
From the birth, which gives us a really nice picture of how tiny Silas was, because I can only fit a finger through here.
Yeah, they would put his whole arm or his
even
thigh.
kept all the plane tickets between travels, especially for me since I was going back.
Yeah, I kept the ticket.
Got all the plane tickets.
And like I kept the cord. Well, they gave me. I didn't really have to keep it, but I did. But this is the cord that would be connected to. The premature babies are hooked up all over, and that was one of the cords I was hooked up to one of his machines. I don't even know which cord it is.
And he came home in this outfit?
He came home in that outfit. Yes, it's a cute little fox.
He came home as a fox.
Yes, he came home as a little fox.
You can imagine how tiny our babies are with that.
Yes.
It had little socks that came with it too, with little fox faces.
It's right here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's the pants.
Fox faces.
Yes. Oh, we saw it. We got this in California right before we came here. And we saw it, and we're like, oh, this is totally going to be the outfit.
And that goes back to your story of you weren't expecting to give birth here in Hawaii, but you did.
No, we were. We wanted to. That's why we came to Hawaii, is we just weren't expecting it to be so soon. We were hoping that we were going to have at least, 3 months to be able to settle in, and, and we were looking for a new house.
Hi, Silas.
And
what?
Hi, you want to come over here?
He looks like a crazy old man with that hair.
He is a crazy old man. He has crazy old man tendencies because he hangs out with my dad a lot.
Can we talk about the March of Dimes?
Yes, absolutely. One day I came back. I came to the hospital one morning, and there was a little purple bag. I don't have the bag with me, but there was a purple bag. It said March of Dimes NICU on it, and there was a bunch of stuff, like this folder, March of Dimes NICU Family Support, and it came with like little measuring tape to see how tall he is. It came with the checklist. I don't know exactly where it is, but there's here, preparing for home, and it came with a checklist of, you know, what your baby needs to go through in order to go home, and
The little steps to take.
yeah, and there was a class that they brought us to, so I took a bunch of notes, and they teach you how to properly put your baby in a car seat, because it's really important.
It even has an infant CPR class.
Yes, it's required. You have to take one before you leave.
Amazing.
So,
car seat, beds for preemies.
that's another thing is before they leave, they have to do a car seat test. They have to, because they're worried about breathing, respiratory problems. So they put the baby in, they put Silas in a car seat, and they left him there for, I believe, 6 hours.
6 hours.
To see how, I don't know,
Yes.
I can't remember exactly how long, but it was a couple hours. 1 hour, I don't think 6 hours is right. It was maybe 1 hour,
Right.
2 hours, just to see how he would, you know, be in. And he slept the entire time. So, and they keep him on the monitor to make sure his breathing doesn't drop. And that's a requirement before you leave. But so the March of Dimes, they left us all of this stuff, and
It's shareyourstory.org. Tell your story. Meet other
Yes.
families. Get support. So that's the emphasis on support. The emphasis on you're not alone. Here's a preparation kit for you.
this was the class that I went to. It was March 26th.
And tell us about the class. Were you able to go to
He
it
wasn't
then?
there anymore. He went back home already, and he was working. This was in the cafeteria, and it was only once a month, so I wanted to make sure I was actually able to go. And they just gave us like the checklist of, what we need to do to prepare to go home. There was a lot of, steps that Silas had to go through. And it was just nice, though, being able to see, so I could watch him, more closely, be like, okay, he's doing this, and that's...
You got your bullet points.
Yeah, there is bullet points, there totally is, and yeah,
That's
so...
great, and it seems like he's already met a couple of these milestones, because he's running around crazy.
He has. We went to back to Kapiolani, and he had his neurodevelopment. I'm terrible at that word, but he had a checkup with a doctor that he saw before we left, and he's meeting pretty much he's meeting all his milestones and exceeding some. And there's the one thing that she wants us to work on is his speech, just saying more words. Just more words put together. And she's like, he's doing really well right now, so we just have to keep practicing and just having him put more words together.
He is a big
He's
love
stubborn,
bug.
though.
He's stubborn, but he's a big love bug.
He
Except
is.
for his grandfather.
He said that.
I look at him, he's all sad. He's like, oh, my friend.
He gives great kisses and
And
great hugs to everybody.
If you tell him squeeze, he'll go,
And he'll also make strange faces like, who are you?
Yeah, that's all me. He's got all my facial
That's
expressions
it.
down.
yeah.
It's the eyebrows.
Every time he gives me a mean look, I'm like, ooh, it's so your dad. So your dad.
Is there any last thing that you'd like to share about your experience, and what kind of encouragements you'll have for other parents who went through the same thing as you?
I would definitely say, it gets really lonely, so being able to confide in the people around you, and relate to them, I think is really important. Especially if your other half is not there, and it's you're all alone, and you kind of feel like everything is against you, and so I definitely say talk about it, because not talking or just keeping it inwards is.
I think the fear would have been a lot worse had I not been preemie and kind of knew how it goes already in terms of preemies. And
You said a family member also worked with March of Dimes.
Oh,
yeah, my stepmother, she worked with March of Dimes for, I believe it was 20 years. And she was actually telling me back then, when they did the marches, it wasn't just around a parking lot or whatever. She was pregnant with my stepbrother at the time, and she was actually just about to leave the company, got better work, or take her leave, I believe is what it was. And she ended up walking 20 miles
20
for the march.
miles.
For the March of Dimes, because that's how they set it up as. I
Yes.
was like, oh my God.
It's
and you
the
did that.
original walk in the United States,
Yeah.
really. It was
And I was
the
like,
first
and
one.
you did that pregnant? She's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, man.
Crazy.
Women
She-
are really resilient.
She loves the March Dimes. She thinks it's an amazing organization, and she was sad to leave, but she, not because she had her, her son, and she wanted to make sure she was home more.
How wonderful.
So.
But she even ended up doing kind of what we're doing now. She became the face of March of Dimes because she worked for and then now she was pregnant and doing the march, so she kind of got the highlight spot like we're getting right now.
There you go. And
So
it's a way, like Christine said, sharing your story. That way you get to kind of verbally express some of the loneliness and the feelings and the hardships.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Preemie is a very hard thing, but it's not as scary as people would think nowadays. The technology
Nowadays,
has come
definitely.
a very, very long way since I was born. There's a lot more likeliness of preemies making it than not making it. If they don't make it, it's usually because there's some very out of the ballpark, off-foreseen thing that happens, and usually it's just newer stuff they haven't encountered before.
So, if we could end with you sharing a little bit more about your experience being a preemie child, was it ever a stigma to your life? Was it ever something that you had to overcome? And
I
what
never
kind of
really
advice
let it
would you give
affect me.
others?
I've always been kind of smaller than everyone. But I kind of learned at a young age that the saying, the small people watch out for it because they've got a long fuse, and when they hit the fuse, everybody watch out. And I've had my encounters enough to make me believe that, okay, I may be small, but, it's...
You're still a fighter.
Yeah, it's the fight. It'll be alright.
But still be a fighter.
Yeah. The size doesn't matter, it's just whoever's got, not necessarily the bigger bite, but who has more fight in them, really is what it is. But
And that's what we do.
I was always kind of in a survival situation because of my upbringing. I always had to kind of look out for myself first, even when I shouldn't have had to at a young age, so it just
Hi there.
more or less is what it is. Never really let it affect me or take hold of my life.
He's good. Thank you for sharing that, Joe.
Yeah, no problem.
If you could, would you say the same thing to your son? What advice would you give him right now?
Well, just however he becomes as a boy or a teenager, don't, just because he was preemie, don't let anybody tell him that he can or can't do things because he was preemie, because as most people know, preemies come back and bounce back faster than most full terms do.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, and for Joe and Christine and Silas to share their time with us. We'll see you at our walk at April 8th. That's a Saturday, 2017. Registration starts at 6:30, and we kick off at 7:30. See you at Lidgate Beach Park. And aloha.
So aloha. 2017 March of Dimes, March for Babies event. We have our two ambassador mommies here with us today. And we're going to talk about the friendships and the support systems that we gain through the experiences, the shared experience. We're going to start with introducing ourselves. My name is Juno Paula, and I'm the coordinator for the March of Dimes, March for Babies Kauai. And we have...
I'm Natassja, Strickland, ambassador mom.
And I'm Christine Morales, the other ambassador mom.
So ladies, let's talk about what was it like for the both of you, knowing that you had to go to Kapiolani, to the NICU, and we can take turns about it. So Christine, would you like to start us off and just say a little more about that experience, knowing that you had to go to Kapiolani?
There's a lot to say about it. It was scary, first of all. My first baby, so it was definitely, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't really learn. I didn't know very much about premature birth before I had him. So it was pretty much just all thrown at me all at one time. But
what were some of the things that you saw when you first got there? Did you
to the NICU?
Yeah.
The first thing I saw were all the babies. At that time, there was only one floor for all the
So
babies.
overflow.
It was a lot of babies.
Wow.
There was about maybe eight, maybe 9 babies in my row, like in my little section, and it was really overwhelming. There was a lot of sounds and smells, and it was very overwhelming. I got there really late at night. I flew really late. So by the time I got there, it was actually not. It was loud for me, just because there's a bunch of babies and there was a lot of beeping. But it was around maybe like midnight, so at that point, it was a little bit more
Mellow,
I
maybe.
guess, yeah, more mellow.
Kind
She
of.
was given birth to Silas at that point? How many days?
It
did
was about
take?
3 days later.
Okay.
Because I gave birth here at Wilcox, and then he got medevac that night with his dad, and then I flew back like after I recovered, I guess, like 3 days later.
Right. And what about you, Natassja? What do you remember about that experience? Because you didn't give birth on Kauai, right?
No,
You had
yeah.
to fly.
I was already there. So after 3 weeks, they did that emergency C-section, and the NICU wasn't new to me, but I was still really scared. The sounds, all the babies and the nurses, it was scary, but it was actually super comforting. Because it was crazy because when I walked into the NICU for the first time with Keanu, he was in the exact same spot and the exact same row, same spot, everything as my first daughter. So it was like not meant to be, but kinda like
you think they did it on purpose?
I don't know if they remembered. It's 8 years later, so
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
crazy, but it comforted me a little bit, yeah. And I remembered kind of like some of the doctors were still there, some of the nurses were still there. It's kind of cool.
Wow, so
Yeah.
familiar. And you were medevaced while Keanu was still in you,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And how many days did you end up staying there before Keanu was born?
3 weeks.
You were there for 3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah,
Wow.
on bed rest. I had a pretty sick suite, though.
Tell us about
I
that.
had a nice view. I had a nice room. I actually when I first got there, they put me in like a really small room, and then after the doctors, the attending doctor, he found out you're gonna be here for a while, so we're gonna hook you up. We're gonna put you in a nice room with a nice view, and it wasn't. Ideally, I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be with my kids at home. But the view was nice. I sat by my window a lot and cried, of course. But it was a nice view, and I had so many visitors. I had, what was that dog's name? Did you ever meet Tucker?
I never got
Tucker came in a lot, and he's not there anymore. But he came in a lot, and it was fun. It was super, super, it was weird and really, really sad, but it was fun just to be able to have a nice big room, and, all these people came in and checked on me.
3 weeks, and then you gave birth.
3 weeks, and then, yeah.
And for you, did you have the similar experience, or was it just all
Oh, it just
immediate?
It was fast.
It was fast. I was actually shopping for my baby shower decorations when I had started getting contractions.
We never got baby showers.
No, I was actually really fortunate that before I moved back home, I had my friends in California from school. They were, sweet enough to throw me a baby shower / goodbye party. So it was really nice that I still got to be able to celebrate, being pregnant. But then when I got home, it was like I came here on a Tuesday, and then the very next Tuesday was when I was shopping, and that was the day that I went into labor. So it was really fast. Like he was like,
crazy.
"Oh, I'm in Hawaii. I am ready to meet the world."
I'm staying here.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's hard.
It came really fast, and I thought that it was Braxton Hicks, like just really strong Braxton Hicks. Then it just got stronger, and then that's when I called the on-call doctor because I didn't have a doctor yet, so I didn't know who to talk to. So I called the emergency doctor, and he was like, I haven't seen you yet, so
Check yourself in.
He's like, if things get worse within an hour, then come in. And like not even 25 minutes later, we were on our way to the hospital.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, I got there like 6, maybe like right before 7, and then by 7:55 he was born.
Yeah.
How
I remember
did you
meeting
two-
Joe first.
Oh.
I met him first. He on Oahu.
So Joe is your husband.
Joe is-
My
fiance.
fiance, he was medevaced with Silas that night.
Right.
And
Yeah. We met first. Mike Lovely, who's my cousin, who also had a premature baby, who checked us both in. She was there, and she's like, "There's another guy from Kauai." Oh wait, was she already there?
She wasn't there.
Someone
She
told
came-
me
she
then.
came 2 weeks after I
Okay,
did.
someone told me then that there's another guy from Kauai and his wife is not even here yet. And every time someone from Kauai would come, all the Kauai people would be like, yes, like we have a buddy, like
Someone-
perfect.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's a small island.
it's a small island and it's someone you can like relate to. So when I met him first, he came off the shuttle, the Ronald McDonald House shuttle, and I met him first. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, my girlfriend's coming over from Kauai, but not yet, and yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
And then how did you two meet? When did you first meet Natassja?
I don't
Was it-
remember the exact moment, but I do. Lovely, her cousin, she was the one who checked me in, both of us in at the hospital. My sister Shauna, she called me. She was all like, "Lovely had her baby." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just saw her like 2 weeks ago when I had Silas." And she was like, "She had her baby early," and so
And she's there.
and she's there, Kapiolani. I'm like, "What?" So then maybe like an hour or like later on that day, I see her getting wheelchaired in, and I'm like, oh my god, like why are you like you're here? Like I just saw you 2 weeks ago, and yeah, so she had her baby at 26 weeks, I believe,
Yes,
and
early.
and then she was like, "Oh, my cousin is here as well," and so is my coworker. I'm like, oh,
It was so
oh,
crazy. We
it
were all
was-
there together.
Yeah, and
4 mommies from Kauai.
From Kauai.
Wow.
and so then she was like, "Oh, like you should meet my cousin." And I don't remember the exact moment we met, but I remember loving her because she was just the entire experience is very.
Traumatic.
It is, and having someone like Natassja who's very real, but also she's really funny. She's super funny, so she's able to make the whole situation a little bit lighter. And plus I don't know, like having girlfriends, it's
It helps.
It's
Yeah.
really important.
So
yeah.
what sort of things did you guys get to talk about while you were both at the NICU?
Gosh, in the beginning, it was really hard. Like when we first kind of started hanging out there, we would sit in the cafeteria and kind of just cry together.
I have
And
one. Yeah, I think that's
I
the
remember
one
that-
specific memory we both
Yeah,
have.
we sat there and we're just like, gosh, can we do this? Like this is crazy.
We're
like,
in a small little corner table. It was right next to the condiments. I remember that. And Lovely was here, Natassja was here, and then I pulled up a chair next to them. And then
yeah, and we were just kind of bummed. I mean, there were a lot of times where we'd be happy and laughing, and I mean, like she said, I just kind of like say some really crazy stuff, and it's just funny. But I remember times where we would just get each other through it, like. Okay, Silas didn't take the bottle today. Keanu's not breathing on his own today, or vice versa. And we would just kind of be like, they're going to be okay. They're fighters. And tomorrow is a new day and it's going to be better. And let's go to Walmart. I mean, we would walk to Walmart. We would walk to like yogurt store and, just kind of like have a coffee or have a drink together and just sit there and say, we're going to be okay because we have each other.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
So,
It's fun.
were you aware that March of Dimes is also a part of the process?
Yes.
And
Oh,
when,
yeah.
When did you notice March of Dimes?
I remember coming in one day and finding a little purple
Me
bag
too.
draped over
Me too.
Silas's little isolette.
Yes.
And it came with a whole bunch of little goodies, little pamphlets on what your baby is going to go through and what you are probably going to go through, during
And
the
how
whole
they're
NICU.
there to help us.
Yeah, and the thing, like they gave us like a guideline of like, this is what your baby needs to go through in order to leave here. So it was kind of nice to be able to see on paper, like, okay, kind of like be able to check mark, okay, he's doing this and he's doing this. So, and they provided classes, for us to go to. I went. I think we all did. We went to the one. It was sometime in April. It was probably around this time, and
Crazy, huh?
it was fun because we were able to take our minds a little bit off of it by doing something fun, doing something creative. And they had printers, like a little printer that you could print your pictures off your phone, and then create little, I don't know, just a little thing that you can hang in his little crib. And
Yeah.
so
really
it was
fun.
nice to that they provided that, where we were able to just hang out and
Yeah, it was a support. It was a part of our support. The March of Dimes had a lot to do with supporting us through our crazy times. Yeah.
And if the both of you could speak a little more about that kind of support system, if it wasn't there, no, let's not go to the negative. Let's just say, what kind of takeaways did you have from that experience, knowing that there were other ladies from Kauai, and knowing that there are people there who are actually just your advocate? You know, they're not part of the staff, they're not part of the doctors, they're not doing some kind of, you know, operational task.
Test or
Yeah. Speak more about that.
We could laugh. It I don't know how to say. I guess it just made us, or for me, it helped knowing that there was someone out. Like, there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's someone there that's gonna lift you when you're feeling junk. You know, that's not a nurse or not a doctor and not someone hassling you. It was just someone there to support you 100%. I have to say, aside from all of that, having Christine and all our friends from Kauai, it helps. If I never had them, aside from family and March of Dimes, of course, but if I never had them, I think that my days would be much more blue, much longer. You always need that support.
I'm a pretty sensitive person. I get sad pretty easily, and having Natassja and Lovely, and then and Kiahi from the Big Island, she
was awesome.
Yeah, she was pretty awesome too. Yeah, I love her too. Having that's, even if it's just one person, you know, it makes things a little bit easier, because you have to knowing that you're not alone, exactly like she said. And it was really nice to see, like, other moms coming in with their babies. They're like a year old already. It was nice to see them, because be like, you know, in a year from now, that might be me. You know, that might probably be me. So it was,
and it was.
Yeah, and it was.
Crazy.
Yeah, because this last time when I went there, I went to the NICU, you know, and I see all these moms, and I can just see it all over their face. They're looking exactly how I felt back then, and
You're looking back.
so it felt good for me to be back there and be like, I made it through all of that without, you know, that's a tough
We made
experience.
it. Yeah,
we would sit every day and we'd be like, can we do this? Can we get through this?
Yeah,
this
not
is hard.
even another day, I thought. But then we go to Walmart.
Well, there you have it, folks. We talk about the friendships that we form going through extreme situations, and here's an example of what happens when we work together and when we come together. We sure do hope that you please support our cause for the March of Dimes, March for Babies. We do a lot of research, we do a lot of education and advocacy work for our mommies and for our babies. So please find it in your heart to donate or join us on our march. This year is on Saturday, April 6, 2017 at Lidgate Beach Park. Registration starting at April 8th. Thank you.
April 8th. I didn't even hear what you said.
Our event this year is on April 8th, 2017. It's a Saturday. Registration starting at 6:30 a.m. See you there.
Join us.